Hey, what's going on? This is Beer Today, Beer Tomorrow. This is Peter. Perry, how you doing?
Pretty good. Ready for a crazy weekend. It's Swansea Day tomorrow, so
Absolutely.
That's going to be a trip for sure.
Absolutely. But before we get to Swansea Day, we are here. We're back in Queens. Once again, we're in Long Island City at the Baroness. Perry, how does it feel to be back in Queens yet again?
I mean, this was a little easier of a trip. At least I could take the G this time.
All right, I'm very pleased to be here, and we have a very special guest. Sir, please introduce yourself.
My name is Kyle Radzyminski. I'm the owner of the Baroness, the soon-to-be the Duchess, and the Huntress, all in Long Island City, Queens.
So welcome to the show. Thanks so much for hosting Beer Today, Beer Tomorrow. So you got a lot going on. You just want to tell us a little bit about everything that you guys got coming up?
It's a shit show of stuff. Anyone that's ever opened one bar can attest to like how annoying it is. But right now we're doing 2. And running another one by ourselves. My wife and I, we don't have cleaners, we don't have busboys, we don't have management. We do it all ourselves. So yeah, it's a big pain in the ass, but it's what it is.
Wow, right on. So tell us a little bit about the history of the Baroness. How did it get started? What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, I've been in the business for about 10 plus years. I would say my wife, she's bartending in different countries and whatnot. I was never a bartender. I was kind of in the back end of stuff. And we had a location on Bleecker and Sullivan years and years ago. And then had another place in the East Village. If you ever heard of Idle Hands and Billy Hurricanes, that was myself and some other guys, music industry fellows. And then we opened another location, my wife and I, a speakeasy called the Cash Bar in Midtown Manhattan on 34th Street. Like it was behind a fake ATM, and that's actually, this is all this furniture you're sitting on is from that place. Okay. We actually took it all out, and we opened up here because if you've ever had a bar, partners are the worst. So if you ever want to open a bar, do not get fucking partners. Do it yourself. I'm going to tell that to every single person listening. Do not get partners or investors or anyone else. Just do it by yourself because it's ridiculous. But so we moved to Long Island City, and we saw this vacant room that we're sitting in right now. It was vacant for 18 years.
Wow.
It was full of garbage. The ceiling was rotting out. There was mold everywhere.
Oh, shit.
And so we approached the owners of the building to get us in here, and then we just kind of started hammering it out about 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years in November.
Wow. And now, how would you kind of, what was that process like? Just from acquiring it and getting it off the ground to opening day, and how has it grown?
We do it all ourselves, so we build everything. We do about 90% of the plumbing, electrical ourselves. Basically, we'll do all the work, and then someone else will come and hook it together, so we don't get electrocuted and or leak everywhere. But we do all the building. Like I built the bar myself, literally by myself. We do all the design, all that artwork, graphics, drawing, blah blah blah. And then over the years, the first year, like opening a bar is like awesome. You're like on a high. It's like woo. And then the second year sucks because then you're not cool anymore, and someone else opened a bar next door, or you're not feeling it right. And so we had our ups and downs that second year, and then the bar that I had on Bleecker and Sullivan, I knew the chef there had another place out on Long Island, and so we approached him about doing our kitchen, and it didn't really pan out. But his sous chef had worked for us at one point years back. And so we just said, fuck it, we'll just approach him. And he was making $500 a week, working 6 days a week. And now he's got like a $4,000 apartment in Long Island City that him and his girlfriend live in. Like,
nice.
Wow.
He made good.
And he came here and he just busted his ass, and we flipped everything, flipped the menu, ripped out the draft system, put in tons more lines, just redid everything. And now, I mean, you see it's always super busy, and it's been good. It's a labor of love, but it's what it is,
And you also do the beer buying, right?
Yes, yeah, it's like 100% me. My whole thing with beer buying is I like to play even fields with the cool breweries, and then the not so cool perception-wise breweries that people are like, oh, this or that. It's like right now we have an IPA takeover from Brooklyn breweries. And they're everyone from Keg and Lantern to Grimm to Folksbier to Wartega. So whoever it is, like if they like it's always an open playing field. And my big thing too is I'm a cyclist, so I bike to a lot of breweries. Like all the breweries probably that have been through here, I've actually ridden to them because we do mostly Northeast breweries. I'm talking New York for the most part, but I've ridden to like to Montauk Brewing Company. It's 165 miles. It sucks.
Yeah,
but,
that's far.
I've done Port Jeff Brewery. It's like 85 miles by myself. And it's cool because like when I go there, I meet these guys, and then a lot of times they go, "Oh shit! Like you've done this." Yeah, well, like Garvey's Point, we do a lot with those guys. You don't see them a lot in the city.
Yeah.
But they'll come here all the time, and it's because of that relationship of like actually going and meeting them and seeing them, and
Yeah, it's not just, it's not just mouth talk on the phone, whatever. You're like making a point of making a real connection.
And we're not like, I always say it's all hops, no hype. We're not like, I don't try to be the coolest one. I just try to like, just do it all. Like, everyone be a part of the whole show and this and that and da-da. So that's why like all breweries, they do something good in their own right. It's just finding what they do best,
Absolutely. And now, how many draft lines do you guys have here?
Here we have 16. The Duchess is going to have 16. The Huntress is going to have 12. I think, personally, over 20 draft lines is kind of stupid, honestly. Things get neglected. Lines get dirty. I mean, unless you're on your fucking game. Like, it's Patrick Doniger from Alewife. We were talking one night, and he was just like, so fucking stupid, these guys at 25 draft line. And I was like, yeah, it's like, I don't like going to the big places like that because I feel like the beer I want to drink probably hasn't been run in like a couple days, and I'm gonna get swill versus like something great, Right.
Yeah.
And it's not doing any justice to the beers that are on those lines. Like here at Duchess, it's all direct draw. We have kegerators. We don't do glycol. We don't do long walk-in lines. Like it's all like right there. Like, I don't know if you know Ralph from BBDs. Ralph Perizzo. He's got Burgers, Beers, and Desserts out in Long Island. Okay. He does all the pop-ups at LIC Beer Project, like the ramen pop-ups and all that.
Right.
He just opened in Vegas. Like he opened literally in Vegas. Like it's a big-ass place. And he is the same way, all direct draw the entire way. Just because 2-foot lines versus 25-foot lines, it's a difference in what you're drinking. Completely. It's a bigger pain in the ass to deal with on our end, but it's better for the customer.
Right. No, for sure.
It's kind of akin to like over in England, right? You got the pubs and they have the cask lines.
Yeah.
It takes a lot more effort to make that work the way it should,
Yeah.
but if you're willing to put in that time, you get a really great beer
Yeah.
out of it. And
Well, Ralph, for example, he's a castmate or a cast check. It's like a certified cast bar.
I know what you're talking.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name, but I know what you're talking about.
He's a certified. He's like one of the only ones I think in New York that's a certified cask bar.
Okay. Wow.
So if you ever want to go out there, you should check them out.
I might have to take you up on that. So now, in addition to craft beer, you also have wine, right? And
Yes. Yeah. My wife is French, and she's very much into her wine. So our wine lists rotate as well, which is not common for New York. For most places, like we don't have this like extravagant 175 bottle wine list. We have 8 sparklings, and she rotates them constantly, which is again, it's not a known thing.
Right.
And we do good stuff, and price points are broad, $6 to $16.
So now, when you're working with the chef to develop the menu, do you guys ever think about pairings with the wine? And
honestly, it's like it gets stupid busy, and it's it just becomes like in the same vein. We don't do like trivia nights because we don't need to.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes the pairings and things of that nature, like it just convolutes a system that's going and running.
Yeah.
And it makes it tough. Like we do flights, and not a lot of people do flights, and it's a pain in the ass, but we still do them just because we do them. But like, as you know, it's like most craft breweries don't do flights anymore. It's kind of like they're trying to push away from that.
Right.
And so it definitely takes some time, and so like pairings and things like that just makes it a little bit harder,
Yeah, it is an extra. It is an extra.
It's
effort
another
to do.
step.
It's another
in the
step on
process.
top of everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting rid of plates is fine as long as you have options on size.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're committing to a pint and all you get is a little taste, sometimes that's fine, but yeah, if you're looking to try a few things, it's nice to be able to do 2 or 3 little guys and then continue on. But do them 1 at a time, 2 at a time. You don't want to warm up anyways.
Yeah. We have our little thimble taster so people can taste.
Yeah.
That's another crazy thing. If you're ever going to open a bar, get tasting glasses because your bartenders will pour like 6-ounce pours, and they'll be like, taste it, and like, wow, and they'll be like, well, that's great. I'll have that Grim that's like $12.
Yeah.
And they just drink an entire half of one.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's good for profit margins, you know?
There you go. It's another good lesson. So now, I mean, how would you just, because we're here in the thick of things, it's a Friday, it's packed. How would you describe the vibe here?
We like to, you see we have no TVs. Music's up, but not overly loud, but loud enough where you gotta talk loud. We want people to like interact and converse, and like, we kind of like, we want that like second living room vibe when your friends come and hang out. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the feel we like. You know, our selection and stuff too kind of weeds out dickhead customers that you know that you kind of don't want sometimes, like that are just gonna like ruin the night, this and that. Yeah, I mean the vibe is to be like everyone talk. You know, we have shitty cell service in here, like the worst, and we don't give our Wi-Fi out, and we have no TVs,
right?
And we just want people to be like, this is where you just hang out, you know?
Yeah, no, I like that. I think, you know, I'm not a huge fan anymore of the places with the million TVs, and it's so loud you can't even think, let alone have a conversation with the person next to you. So I like that kind of. It's an inviting atmosphere. It's a cozy space in here. I mean, it's a good sized space, but at the same time, it is cozy, and it just makes people want to have a conversation. Yeah. The two other bars. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What can you tell us about that?
I mean, the Duchess is it's very similar to this. It's about a 10-minute walk from here, so it's kind of like far enough away that it's going to be a similar vibe. And then again, beer and wine only. We only do beer and wine here as well. Over there will be, again, draft list that's going to rotate. It's going to be a different, definitely always different than this one. And then it's like 3 times the size, so it's a much bigger space. Okay. It looks more like a brewery layout if you see it. If you go on like on Facebook, you could probably find it, Duchess Bar, and it's definitely a lot larger, a lot more brewery-looking, feeling, more fleshed-out menu. Here is our big burger menu. We've been on like ABC, we've been on the Food Network. Our chef was on Chopped. We did the Rachel Ray Burger Bash, did all that stuff. So it's more burger-centric here. There's going to be a little more like American French cuisine, but we're going to have this burger menu over there that's never been done before, which we're not going to we don't let anyone know about it yet because it's super different. Yeah.
It's an exclusive right here. BTBT exclusive.
The way it's like served is completely different. And that's kind of hard to actually think about because it's burgers. Everyone's fucking doing burgers. But we try to really think about a different way to do it. And then the Huntress is across from Brooklyn Boulders down the block. And it's again, it's a little bit bigger than here. Full liquor license, so we're going to do whiskey and wings, and again, we're doing some other goofy stuff menu-wise that you probably haven't seen before. We're trying to be very progressive on that aspect, and then we'll have our house draft lines that are going to be very, a little more stripped down, you know, a good stout, a good porter, basically like basics done well, you know, which, that's why we carry Kelso here. It's because you don't find a lot of breweries nowadays that do basics done well. Kelso, you know, Kelly does a stout, he does a wit, he does a pilsner, and he does them well and consistent, always that. And so we carry them. We're basically, it's like our house brand here. And then over there, we're gonna have another brewery that we've been working with for a while about the same kind of concept, but doing 12 lines, a nitro stout, you know, and then like seasonally, either fruiting them or doing something different in keg to like kind of change it up a little bit. Right. And then and then we'll do whiskey and cocktails and stuff over there. So.
Oh, very cool. So now, how do you kind of, it's a question we love to ask our guests, how do you kind of see current day, the New York craft beer scene, and kind of where do you see it going from here?
That's a tough question because, like, I've been in and out of the craft beer scene for like 10 years on and off, like, and I wasn't so intensely until more so in the last couple of years. You're gonna see a lot of like smaller guys get weeded out, and it's no fault of theirs. It's just competition is gonna be fierce. Yeah. I mean, even though gypsies are all building breweries because they have to, because they need to make profit margins. They got to make money. They can't just keep outsourcing other places. And I hope this is. I'm not gonna sound like a dick, but I hope the arrogance level of some brewers comes down a peg or two. Sure, yeah. You know? I mean, some people see it, some people don't see it. Consumers don't see it as much. Back end people see it a little bit more. Yeah. And maybe it's also like you got to be in the cool kids team
right.
or like the cliques. They're arts. It's like fucking high school sometimes. It really is, and it's not a joke. And like that's why again, like it's like keeping an even keel and like hearing breweries that people are like, yeah, they're okay. It's like they still do some great stuff. It's not like they're not like not everyone's all over their dicks all day long or whatnot, So, so I feel like a lot are getting weeded out, but I feel like a lot of breweries are going to start being a little more easier going, and they're going to lose a little bit of the attitude a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys see it, but I see it. So.
Yeah, I mean, we see some of that, too.
We're not like going to staple anyone out. But like,
right, no, without naming names. We do see some of that, too. It's definitely... it is a little bit of a cool kids club at times as well. And it's kind of bullshit. But.
Yeah, and I want to see more... guys like Kuzme, like guys that are
good dude, Kuzme.
That it's not about like passion projects of like 70 investors and one dude like making beers. Like, no, I want guys that are like, I'm gonna try to do better than others and do things and think outside the box and
the homebrewer DIY coming up the right way.
Yeah, those are the guys I like. Like those are the ones that I feel like are really trying to push the envelope in ways and not just ride all the hype,
Right. Yeah. Shout out to Kuzme and Fifth Hammer. I think they got their first their anniversaries coming up tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Saturday. That's right.
We're the first to ever pay them.
Really?
Yeah, because the worst part about owning a brewery is like getting your money.
Yeah.
Like on this end, we get paid, but it's like a hunting process. Like that's what all breweries have to deal with. And so the first time it was like when the first delivery they made was to us ever, and I was like, here's your money. It's not going to come as easy from everyone, so...
But you'll never forget you.
Yeah. It's going to suck. But now, just remember that.
Nah, that's funny, yeah. No, I think the craft beer scene is definitely interesting. I also think the neighborhood is interesting, because I know what this neighborhood looked like 20 years ago.
It was hookers and drug dealers.
Yeah, it was a vastly different neighborhood, and I think it's still, even though it has changed a lot, I think it's still kind of... hasn't found itself totally yet. I think it's still changing a little bit,
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're, like, my wife and I are trying to, like, help, like, create the landscape a little bit in certain ways. Like, she's a music school as well down the block. So we have a music school down there. We've lived here for almost 6-7 years. And we've watched building. We were the first to live in the building next door. Like, the first to live in that apartment. So, like, and that was, like, one of the early buildings. So we've watched it. And so, like, it's cool to see a neighborhood actually evolving, which something you don't see in New York very often.
Right.
And but there's still some grittiness. You still got the biggest projects in the world 2 blocks away.
Yeah.
Like, you still
Queensridge.
You got the funny thing, like, that being said, the Huntress. We built a big part of the Huntress out of we call it the Urban Arboring Coalition. The UAC. We went to the projects and took all the broken tree limbs down. And we actually repurposed them and building the bar out of the Huntress. It's kind of a wilderness theme.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And so yeah, but yeah,
really
it's still down there. It's still rocking,
Yeah, no, it's definitely. I think it's a neighborhood that's changed a lot, and like I said, I think it's still changing. So with that said, I mean, how do you kind of view currently like just the bar scene in general in Long Island City?
It's okay.
Right.
Like. Not like trying to be like, woo, us, but like, if this was the bar, like, I'll say, woo, this for, I go to Sunnyside, I go to the Alcove.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to the Alcove? Sunnyside, they're not booming right now with lots of places. It's not like, but that place does it well. That's what I hope people feel like when they come here, because it's not a lot, it's very slim pickings of like cool places to go, and especially on the beer side of things. I mean, Patrick's got Alewife, but that's like, it's Church and State. Like Hunters Point and Dutch Kills, there's a separation. It's like we don't go down there that often. It's like
it's the same neighborhood, but it just seems so far from here.
It's far. Like you gotta take like a train like 7 stops just to get within a 10-minute walk.
Right.
It's far. It's different. There's a couple bars around here that are doing okay. Like we go occasionally to the Beast next door.
Mm-hmm.
More cocktail-driven side. I mean, there's Dutch Kills, obviously.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Dutch Kills. They're in their own world of stuff. There's a Crescent Grill down the block, which is great. They're having a tough go because they're a little bit detached from the neighborhood. It's like 4 blocks down crescent.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it's right there, but people don't think that far down. They do like Kings County. They'll do LIC Beer Project. The mic. They do. They try to keep it pretty relatively local within Brooklyn and Queens.
That's cool. So now coming up, so how did you initially get into craft beer?
I mean, like, the bar that we opened in the East Village, we had a craft beer bar downstairs that were our partners, and it was craft beer, but I use that loosely. It was like mainstream craft, because back then it wasn't like super aggressive craft.
Right.
You know, like Lagunitas was craft beer.
That
was like 8-9 years ago.
Bells and Sierra.
Yeah. Like the brewery, like you barely find like that kind of stuff kicking around.
Yeah.
And so more so when I started riding to breweries and really meeting the guys and really getting involved with them. Like when we first opened up, we had 6 draft lines, and that was 5 years ago. We had like single cut and things like that. It was normal, and it was crafty, but it was like there wasn't a lot to choose from back then.
Yeah.
You know, like you could get like Evil Twin sporadically, or you get like things like that sporadically, but those couple of years of riding and going to breweries, that's really when it kind of started to pop up. I mean, I am from Burlington, Vermont, like craft beer, like mecca.
Right.
I went to high school with a girl who used to be the first bartender of the Alchemist, like.
Oh wow.
Like way back in the day, and like I used to live literally behind Zero Gravity, like
no shit.
the original Zero Gravity, like.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, but back then, like, it wasn't even a thought. Like, really was like, I mean, we had craft beer fest 20 years ago there.
Yeah.
Literally, full on craft beer fest, and you didn't even think. You ever heard of Shed?
No.
Yeah.
Shed Mountain Ale. So Shed was bought by Long Trail. Shed was actually in a shed, an apple orchard shed, and they were using apple orchard like cidery stuff to make beer, and they were selling it in growlers. No one had growlers. They were selling growlers at like this one beer store, and this was 20 years ago.
Shit.
And it was like, holy shit! Like we used to get them like, "Fuck, like you drink a Shed, you're messed up." Like, think about that. It was like that was like way back. But then they were so small, they got bought by Long Trail. They kept going by Long Trail.
Right.
I think they're still making stuff at very small amounts.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the breweries currently, whether it's local or abroad, that are really impressing you now? Like, are there certain breweries or styles that you're actively checking for?
Like right now, it's really tough. It's like so much. Just like
there's a lot of options, even like, just locally here in New York.
Yeah, it's so much coming at you. Like, it's really about going. I'm a guy who drinks never the same thing twice. I try not to ever.
It's all the same for me.
Like if I go somewhere, I'm like, what have I never seen the name of?
Same.
So it's kind of hard to say any kind of brewery that stands out because I try to like bounce around so much. But like, I like guys that create concepts in beers and they do them well. Like, I rode to Defiant a couple years back, and it was the first time I went up there. And I got there, it was like a 100-degree day. I rode 35 miles there, and I had their orange creamsicle beer, and it like lost my mind. It was just like boom. It was like everything it said. It was like perfect, and I was like, that's what I like in breweries. I can actually, what they say they're gonna do, they actually do. Like when you say, oh, there's like notes and nuances, I'm like no. I'm like, stop making shit up. Like, give me something, or like just say it's just what it is. It's plain. Like, that's the hard part about like the IPA scene right now is that. People say that like there's notes of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. That's all in the mouth of the holder at that point. Yeah.
It's subjective in a way,
Because like brewers' palates are like this.
Yeah.
Everyone else's palates are like this. So what they're drinking, and they make 7 beers, they all can taste exactly the same to you. But to them, they're completely different. And that's what they got to start understanding. It's like, that's huge.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm a huge IPA, double IPA fan, but there's definitely an IPA, saturation in the market, and then it's like, the flavors sometimes, like you said, sometimes they're just not necessarily there. Like I'll be drinking something and I'm like, I get this, but this other flavor, I'm not getting that at all, And I think, but it is interesting though, just going back to see that growth and to see that explosion, especially here in Queens, where 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, there was like nothing.
Yeah,
really?
Like 3 years ago.
I mean, things have really taken off.
Yeah, like LIC started, they were building when we were building.
Yeah.
So we've known them through that whole time frame, and like there wasn't much. Like Single Cut was there, and
right. I think I think Rockaway might have been one of the first.
They were just starting.
They just started, yeah.
Just up, and everyone else definitely followed later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks. This neighborhood that transmitter's moving.
Yes. Yeah.
They're definitely like
we're stealing them.
one of the best breweries, hands down, in New York City.
Yeah.
And they've never folded, which is I give Anthony like props for that. Like Rob, and they've never made an IPA.
Yeah.
They're not gonna make an IPA. I don't know if you saw their April Fool's joke. They had an IPA can.
Yeah.
And they were like, can release today, and I literally fell for it. And I texted Mark from Big Alice, and I was like, you see this shit? He was like, it's April Fool's Day. I was like, fuck.
No, I'm glad that they have not, and I hope they never make one. I hope they never ever. I'm sad to see them go, though. I really enjoyed what they were doing.
I like how small it was.
Yeah.
How you go in there and like there'd be a dog over on one side, and then there'd be a pot of sugar boiling down on the floor over there, and it was just like a mess. But like I like that. Like I don't like pristine, clean breweries. Like I've been in Germany to like breweries that were holding like millions and millions, and it's just like, all right, it's a big tank. All right, let's move on. Like I want to see the process and the people. And and Transmitter is like that quintessential kind of brewery.
Yeah, they were really doing really awesome things, and I'm they're getting a bigger space, so it's really good for them. Too bad they couldn't stay in Queens though. Yeah, it's a win for you, Perry.
Yeah, one more I can get to quickly.
I mean, they're gonna be like next to Kings County Distillery too. It's like gonna be a mess down there.
Yeah. Brooklyn's got a lot going on for sure.
Yeah, I mean that part of town's just starting to grow.
Yeah.
Other than them, Circa I think is the only thing, and I guess was it the one brew pub is over there too. It's the chain that does all the self-pouring taps.
Oh, Randolph.
Yeah. I think they brew in their location up there.
They do in Dumbo.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying, like up in downtown, like that's basically it. Like they're entering like basically an untapped part of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So it's cool for them.
That's like the taint of Dumbo and Williamsburg where they're at.
Yeah.
Right. They'll get people from both sides, which is good.
There you go.
You got to hit the taint from both sides.
Both sides. That's another life lesson. What's the happy hour like here?
It's good. It's just basic. I mean, it's like this is a tough neighborhood to gauge anything here because there's like 20 plus now hotels within 7-minute walks from here, and then you've got all these residential buildings.
Right, there's a hotel right around the corner.
JetBlue's headquarters is down the block. MetLife's headquarters, Bloomingdale's headquarters is moving here. Like they're talking about Amazon was looking down the block too to do their second flagship headquarter in America. Like, so it's just a lot of like, you just never know who's coming in.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the whole like the neighborhood kind of still figuring out its identity. Yeah. It's still trying to figure out who it wants to be when it grows up.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a little bit of a process.
Yeah.
I think so, for sure. So you guys do you like this event here? This is awesome. This Brooklyn IPA tap takeover. Do you guys do a lot of tap takeovers, or does it depend?
Just sporadically. Again, like it's like I like to keep things kind of like fresh and different, and like every now and then we'll do something like this. Like for Queens beer, we did a full Queens one.
Yeah.
This one. We don't do a lot of like tap takeovers with breweries. Our space is limited as far as kegs and whatnot, and then the what's it called? The changeover is a pain in the ass. Like if you walk in, you can just like take stuff down and put stuff on. Right. Here it's like going up a flight of stairs, down a flight of stairs. Doing 16 lines, it sounds not like a lot, but it's
a lot.
Do some half barrels in there, and it's like it just becomes a nightmare.
It's a lot of work, right?
So we try to keep it pretty easy going for the most part. Just keep rotating constantly. The can thing is we rotate a lot of, and that's one thing I like try to stay ahead of because I guess I would say I'm artistic in a sense, and so I like can art.
Yeah,
I really like, and because people do still drink with their eyes,
Absolutely.
And so cans are really cool, and also we had our old draft system had actually the beer that was in the draft was on top, so you could actually see all the colors and stuff of what you were drinking or what you were going to order. But it became a nightmare to change all the time. It was just too much work. So the Huntress might have something like that because we'll have mainstay lines and stuff like that. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think can art these days, it goes a long way to help building the brand of that brewery. I mean, I think if you look on social media, I mean, people go crazy for the cans, you know, and people are getting all these likes and hits and all this stuff And it's a big part of the branding. I think
and the
it's
trading scene and that whole shebang. Like,
yeah. Like I'm not big on the trading scene for a couple of reasons, but I get it.
Yeah.
And I think it's great because it's another subculture of the craft beer subculture, and it helps kind of grow and promote all these other breweries that you maybe wouldn't have access to unless you kind of traveled there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of funny to watch the artwork be copied so often. Like other half, for example, you can see people that are like really derivatives of other half. Like you can see their art, like see even some locally. Yeah. And I'm like, come on, try a little harder than that guy.
Yeah.
Like I like guys like Dan Birch who does Alewife and he does Barrier. He does great stuff. Nettler who does LIC stuff, like who does their crazy stuff. Yeah. Like that stuff is insane. Yeah.
Like, some of their can art is really creative.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part. That's what keeps it cool and fun and not stagnant. You know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But before this, you had a background in music. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I worked in music, and I was in 2 bands over a period of time. Like was on Warped Tour, things like that, and heavy metal, kind of like think of like a heavier Killswitch Engage.
Okay.
Meets Weird Al Yankovic.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
interesting.
It was really like kind of stupid. Like it was fun, like where people would be like, "Are they kidding? Are they not kidding?" Mm-hmm. And like we would stop a song, we'd all turn around, and a Slipknot song would come on, and we would start playing it and come back in like Burger King masks. But then we'd be like really like choreographed out. It was like fun and stupid and this and that. But and then I worked in music as well.
Yeah.
Worked with a lot of bands from like Journey to Jay-Z over many years. I finally just stopped doing that like a couple of years back. I was freelancing for a long time, and it just was too much to do. So
yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you got 3 bars, you know.
It was more like a creative outlet.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I don't need like to do this anymore. You know?
All right, right on. And now, so what are the hours of operation here?
Pretty much 11 to late every day.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we started open for lunch a couple of years back, and like a lunch Friday goes from 0 to 60 in like
I can imagine, right?
It's like, oh, it's like 12 o'clock. Yeah, no one. And then like 12:30 hits, and it's like, fuck. Like, we always, you ever seen the meme of Steve Carell saying, no. That's what we're like. We're like, it's like, shit, this is going to suck. Like, in a good way, but it's just like, wow. But yeah, we used to stay open late. Kitchen's open till typically midnight.
Yeah.
Which is good.
That is good. That is really good.
Yeah.
And you know, given the fact that we've discussed how the neighborhood is still kind of finding its legs, you guys have like a core group of regulars, or is it really like a lot of different kind of shifting crowds coming in and out?
It's like it comes and goes in waves. We've got people that we know and this and that. Like we've made a lot of friends that are like friends that hang out with us that we know from here.
Yeah.
And like even guys like in the bar industry and the beer industry, like Mark from Big Alice, for example. I don't know if you know Mark from Big Alice. So Mark lived in our building. He used to be a regular here, and then he was going to help work with us at the Duchess, but then it was taken for a while, and so then we were like, I was trying to help him get a job in a brewery, and then he actually landed a job at Big Alice, and now he's doing all the stuff with them. And so it's like things like that have happened, and we get friends and things over the years like that. So
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. So I mean, we kind of covered a lot. Is there anything that we didn't touch on, or is there anything else that the audience should know about this bar and your other bars that you want to talk about?
I mean, well, here one thing we do is we do champagne sabering. We didn't touch on that.
Oh, that's interesting. What's that?
I was going to ask about that.
We're the only bar, not that probably that does it open to the public. I mean, some bars have done it, this and that. Like I know Saxon Parole or someone else has done it, but we actually have a program where you can, if you buy any bottle of our champagne, you can open it with a sword.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it starts at $74 for like our cheapest bottle, which is like, it's French, it's champagne, it's not American made, it's not Prosecco, it's not, it's actually French. Again, my wife is French, so it
has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
Be sacrilegious otherwise.
Yeah, and we've gone to vineyards and we've gone things that we've done the whole shebang, and she's has to be French, because you can do non-French champagne. You can do You can do like Mum Napa, for example, is made in the method of champagne.
Right.
You can savor it because everything they do is proper.
Right.
But we don't. You know.
Sure.
And so you basically fill out a waiver, ID, blah blah blah. Can't be drunk, obviously. It's stupid.
Right.
And then we give you a sword, and we have you basically mime it out on a tester bottle.
Yeah.
And then we get all your friends around. Everyone starts counting down, screaming, pictures.
That's
whatever.
awesome.
And my wife did it on the Today Show.
Really?
I actually got accepted to do the Guinness Book of World Records most bottles sabered in a minute.
Really?
I haven't done it yet, but I put in my application. They said I could challenge the winner, or I can challenge the guy who has the most balls, which is like 64.
64
in a minute.
In a minute. Wow.
But I've watched him how he does it, and but he's actually the guy who holds the most Guinness Book of World Records.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He's that guy. So
Okay.
I think I could beat him anyway, but yeah, we teach how to do it, and it's super easy. It's just more nerve-wracking than anything else, and quite honestly, guys are terrible at it, and girls are good at it because they actually listen to the tutorial.
Right. The guy just, I'm just going to do this.
Bro, I can do this.
Right.
And they start chopping it, and you're like, you're going to kill somebody. Calm the fuck down. And we've had, like, a mishap here and there, like, just stupidity.
Right.
You know? It's just listen, do, done.
Right.
Easy.
Yeah.
And
Just
it's fun.
pay attention, and you can do this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, guys have a problem with that part.
Yeah, it's just fucking listen, guys. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. Like, here it's just again, it's just low key.
Right. Very cool. So, Perry, you got any parting words, comments?
I'm just excited to try some more of the beers that they got on. Obviously taking over Brooklyn, so keep it up.
Yeah, you and your Brooklyn shit.
What can I say? We do it right.
Now, shout out to Brooklyn. Brooklyn is doing big things. And real quick, if people want to find out more about what you guys are doing here, what's the best place? What's the best ways to do that?
TheBaronessBar.com. Also, we have that's TheBaronessBar.com. But we also have our Instagram page. We always say our Instagram page is kind of like Tinder for your mouth.
I like that. That's good. I like
so,
that.
So, like, if you just see the pictures, like, and then, yeah, we're all about taglines. We're idiots. Like,
no, that's good. You need
our
it. It
shirts
sticks.
are really stupid. I don't know if you saw one of our shirts says, "Eat a burger. Skinny people are much easier to kidnap." We just made it. We just made another one that was pretty stupid, and we also have like the LeBron James of hamburgers.
That I saw. Yeah, I like that. That is
but
interesting.
But also, if you go to Baroness Beers, that's our draft list. It's always updated by beer menus.
Yep.
By those guys over there.
Yep.
Which is like the best way. Honestly, I've been finding beers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm a big beer advocate. I live on Beer Advocate.
Mm-hmm.
But like finding stuff, beer menus has been awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome. They do a good job.
I'm not an Untapped guy.
Me neither. I don't do Untapped. I appreciate Untapped, but I don't
get
do
it. I go to Untapped if it's not on beer menu or on Beer Advocate.
Mm.
But otherwise, yeah, I don't really do it. I don't need to check in all that much. You know?
Yeah.
It'd be like stupid.
Yeah. It'd be excessive.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons I don't do it. Yeah. All right.
But yeah, I mean that's like the gist of it for the most part.
There you go. It's like Tinder for your mouth. I like that. Yeah, man. Look, thanks so much for hosting Beer Today, Beer Tomorrow. This is it's definitely an awesome place. I'm digging the vibe here, and thanks, man. Appreciate you hopping on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, cheers.
Cheers, man.